Herbert von Karajan led the Berlin Philharmonic for 34 years, recorded over 900 works, and outsold every conductor in history. Some rank him as the greatest of the 20th century. Others argue his reputation rested more on commercial machinery than musical substance, when you measure him against Furtwängler and Bernstein. His early musical promise became clear by age 4 when he began piano lessons with Franz Ledwenka, a respected teacher at the Mozarteum Conservatory. By 1916, Karajan entered the Mozarteum's preparatory program, where his studies included piano, theory with Franz Sauer, and composition under Bernhard Paumgartner. Examination records from the conservatory show that Karajan completed his final exam, the Rehearsal, in 1925, earning high marks for both technical skill and theoretical knowledge. During his student years, Karajan performed publicly in Salzburg's Landestheater and at the Großes Festspielhaus, where local critics noted his confident technique and command of complex works by Liszt. In 1926, Karajan moved to Vienna to continue his training at the Academy of Music and Performing Arts. He studied advanced piano with Joseph Hoffmann and joined conducting classes led by Alexander Wunderer and Franz Schalk, a former Mahler assistant. Academy records show Karajan received his conducting diploma in June 1929, graduating at the top of his class. Just weeks after finishing his studies, Karajan made his professional conducting debut in Salzburg with a production of Richard Strauss's Salome. In September of that year, he accepted a 3-year contract as Kapellmeister at the Stadttheater Ulm in Germany, where he led both opera and symphonic performances. Municipal archives in Ulm confirm his start date as October 1, 1929, marking the beginning of his professional career in the German theatre system. By the mid-1930s, Herbert von Karajan began appearing at major European music festivals, including the Salzburg Festival and the Vienna Festival, where his interpretations of works by Beethoven and Wagner drew attention from both audiences and critics. In 1937, he made a notable debut with the Berlin Philharmonic, conducting Beethoven's Fidelio at the Beethoven Saal. This performance was widely reviewed, with the Berliner Tagesspiegel describing it as a bold statement from a new generation of conductors. That same year, Karajan signed his first recording contract with Deutsche Grammophon, producing a studio recording of Mozart's The Magic Flute Overture with the Staatskapelle Berlin. Over the next 2 decades, Karajan expanded his presence on the international stage, guest conducting in London, Milan, and Paris. His reputation grew steadily, and in 1955, following the death of Wilhelm Furtwängler, Karajan was elected chief conductor of the Berlin Philharmonic Orchestra. The board's decision was unanimous, and his appointment began on January 1, 1955. This period coincided with the rapid growth of the long playing record, LP, which transformed the classical music market. Karajan's early recordings for Deutsche Grammophon and EMI took full advantage of this new technology, reaching a global audience and helping to define the sound of post-war orchestral music. Karajan's leadership at the Berlin Philharmonic marked the start of a new era for both the orchestra and the recording industry. His festival appearances, Berlin appointment, and embrace of the LP positioned him as a dominant figure, setting the stage for the technical and commercial influence that would define his legacy. Analytical studies of his Beethoven Symphony No. 5 performances from 1951, 1963, and 1975 show a variance of only plus or minus 2 beats per minute, with the 1963 version intentionally slowed by about 3 beats per minute to support string phrasing. Sonic visualizer data from his Strauss Einheldenleben 1960 confirms a consistent beat interval of 0.94 seconds, matching Karajan's own metronome annotations. In Wagner's Ring Cycle 1976, the opening Siegfried Overture maintains a steady 64 beats per minute, with Karajan's baton emphasizing a clear, broad downbeat. Rehearsal methods were equally systematic. Documentation from the Karajan Institute details a typical 3-hour session, a 10-minute full run-through, followed by 45 minutes of sectional work, strings, then winds, where Karajan used micro-gestures to adjust dynamics and articulation. The final 30 minutes focused on integrating corrections, often using a stop-and-go approach. Musicians describe a process where a single hand clap would halt the orchestra, followed by a concise verbal instruction or a silent gesture. First-hand accounts from principal players such as Heinz Stelzer and Gabor Gergely confirm that Karajan expected musicians to internalize the score before rehearsal. Sight-reading errors were corrected on the spot, sometimes requiring immediate repetition from memory. The run-through, sectional stop-and-go model, paired with his demand for pre-rehearsal preparation, produced a rehearsal environment where technical control was non-negotiable. These protocols, combined with his measured baton technique and near-metronomic tempo maps, explain the engineered precision that defines the Karajan sound. His approach left little to chance, creating a foundation for the orchestra's signature unity and balance. Side-by-side listening tests often spark debate among musicians and critics. Comparisons between Karajan's Beethoven Fifth and Furtwängler's 1954 recording reveal clear differences. Karajan's version is defined by an unwavering pulse and a seamless orchestral blend, while Furtwängler's reading is marked by flexible tempos and dramatic contrasts. Bernstein's Beethoven, in contrast, leans on overt emotion and interpretive risk, often departing from the metronome in favor of expressive rubato. These differences are not just stylistic, they fuel ongoing arguments about whether Karajan's precision comes at the expense of spontaneity. Critical voices have never been silent. Harold C. Schonberg, writing for the New York Times, praised Karajan's early recordings for their clarity, but later accused him of turning orchestral performance into a brand, prioritizing polish over depth. Similar critiques appeared in The Guardian, where reviewers described some late recordings as studio perfect but emotionally distant. These assessments stand in stark contrast to the technical admiration Karajan often received from fellow conductors. Karajan's wartime record remains a point of contention. Bundesarchiv documents confirm his Nazi Party membership in Salzburg in April 1933, with a second registration in Aachen in 1935. Although denazification files from 1947 classified him as exonerated, the dual membership and his professional rise during the Third Reich continue to shadow his reputation. Some argue that his rapid appointments, especially at Aachen and later Berlin, were enabled by political connections as much as musical merit. Commercially, Karajan wielded rare market power. His exclusive contract with Deutsche Grammophon in 1949 made him the face of the label. The 1955 Beethoven album sold over 200,000 copies in its first year, and by the 1970s, Karajan's releases accounted for nearly a third of Deutsche Grammophon's classical sales. This commercial dominance shaped the industry, setting new standards for both artistic control and mass market appeal. In the end, Karajan's legacy is measured not only by technical mastery, but also by public dispute, ethical scrutiny, and the global reach of his recordings. Karajan's recorded legacy centers on a handful of cycles that reshaped the classical music marketplace and set new benchmarks for orchestral interpretation. His Beethoven symphony sets, especially the 1963 and 1977 cycles for Deutsche Grammophon, became reference points for both listeners and fellow conductors, with the 1963 set alone selling hundreds of thousands of copies worldwide. In Wagner, his selections from the Ring Cycle and Parsifal, recorded with the Berlin Philharmonic and Vienna Philharmonic, are cited by later conductors such as Simon Rattle and Claudio Abbado as models of clarity and structural control. Karajan's readings of Richard Strauss tone poems, including Ein Heldenleben and also Sprach Zarathustra, feature prominently in the Deutsche Grammophon catalogue and are frequently referenced in rehearsal by principal players in Berlin and Vienna. These recordings not only shaped audience expectations for orchestral colour and precision, but also influenced the programming and rehearsal practices of the next generation of conductors across Europe and beyond. To assess Karajan's standing, a weighted evaluation framework is used. Technical precision, measured by tempo stability, dynamic control, and ensemble coordination, receives 30% of the total score. Interpretive insight, including phrasing, balance, and stylistic fidelity across composers from Beethoven to Wagner and Strauss, accounts for 25% of the total score. Leadership and rehearsal discipline, reflected in documented rehearsal protocols and musician testimonies, make up 20% of the total score. Recording impact, determined by the breadth, influence, and sales of studio projects with orchestras like the Berlin Philharmonic and Vienna Philharmonic, contributes 15% of the total score. Finally, critical and peer reception, drawn from published reviews and statements by conductors such as Bernstein, Furtwängler, and Abadeau, is weighted at 10% of the total score. This rubric is applied to Karajan's major studio cycles, live festival performances, and documented rehearsal methods, providing a transparent basis for comparison with his contemporaries and successors. Karajan's approach still sparks debate in concert halls and recording studios worldwide. As orchestras reconsider what leadership and sound mean today, his legacy challenges us to define greatness beyond numbers or reputation. The conversation about what truly matters in music is far from over. Share your thoughts below.